Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth to rule well. Genesis 27 and 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherein his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning of my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. All right, let me show you this video real quick.
The United States government is offering you a piece of land of your own.
We have our own land.
No, it's not yours. It's the U.S. government's.
Did they buy it?
No,
Did they trade for it?
it's not like that.
Then how can they own it?
He has a point.
If you accept our offer, you won't have to hunt buffalo anymore or roam the prairie. You can depend on your country to take care of you.
You are not my country.
We will give you everything you need if you will just submit to living on a reservation.
We need nothing from you.
Mr. Durant, if we could just...
I'm done, Reverend.
All right, that was a quick video. That show is called Hell on Wheels. It's on Netflix. But it just showed Esau's true colors, man. You know, that's when he was getting that dominion over Israel. You know, in the beginning of that show, you have a bunch of African American, so-called Negroes. All right, they were showing them as slaves in the, building the train tracks. All right. And, growing up, that show is very informative. All right. Growing up, I didn't know why the train tracks had to go like in serpent S's, But then I realized that that's how they gained their money. That's how they made profit. All right. Whenever I saw this show, I always wondered, why isn't it just a straight shot? And it's for that reason, so they can gain money out of building railroads. You see, so Esau was benefiting, and now Esau has the world. All right, they took the world by taking, one of the biggest, most resourceful continents, in the world. All right, so Esau has the blessing, man. So I looked this up. I said, why were natives forced from their land? And it says Indian removal, all right, because they were asked at first, certain of them were asked to, to go into reservations. But of course, who the hell would want to go into, a jail cell? Why would you willingly go into a jail cell? If you have freedom, if you have, whatever food you want to have. Also, the killing of the buffaloes, all right, to starve out the Native Americans. All right, these are all malice intent. That's the origin. Vocab Malone was talking about how he was going to go into the KKK and the the beginnings, the origins of the KKK. Well, the origins of the KKK is Christianity. All right, you had a bunch of Christians that were hanging a bunch of Native Americans, hanging so-called Negroes, hanging so-called Latinos, lynching them, you know. That's the beginning of Christianity, man, you know. So it says the Indian removal was a forced, all right, see that bold letter, bold word, forced, man, migration in the 19th century whereby Native Americans were forced by the United States government to leave their ancestral homelands in the eastern United States to lands west of the Mississippi River, especially to a designated Indian territory. All right. So over here it says, why were Native Americans forced onto reservations? It says the Indian reservation system was created to keep Native Americans off of lands that European Americans wished to settle. All right. And reason why they put European Americans is because it was you damn devils, man. All right. Those damn devils, man. They call themselves European, you know, from the bottomless pit. It says Americans wish to settle. The reservation system allowed Indian tribes to govern themselves and to maintain some of their cultural and social traditions. All right. Why did the Indian Removal Act happen? The Indian Removal Act was signed into law by President Andrew Jackson on May 28, 1830, authorizing the president of the grant unsettled lands west of the Mississippi in exchange for Indian lands within existing state borders. A few tribes went peacefully, but many resisted the relocation policy. All right. So they were forced, man. You know, they were forced. They were driven out of their own land, you know. So this is Job 24:1. Why seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty. So the Most High sees everything, man. You know, you can't hide anything from the Most High. And the Most High are in this, and the eyes of the Most High are on the sinful kingdom. All right. Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. All right. And they violently took away the flocks, man. Let's put Americans killed. All right. This is 1873. All right. It says, kill every buffalo you can. Every buffalo dead is an Indian gone. All right. You see that? Slaughtered them, man. The bison hunting was an active fundamental to the economy and society of the Plain Indians. When they were about to kill a buffalo, they would offer it a prayer. And in that movie, Avatar, you know, you would kill animals, you know, which completely destroys being a vegan. You know, you can eat, you can prefer to eat plants, you know, but when the Passover comes, you have to slay a lamb. You have to. That's just part of it, man. You know. So, you know, in that movie Avatar, they wouldn't kill the animals, but if they had to kill an animal, you know, say it was being aggressive, or they had to do it for food, they would kill it, and as soon as they would kill the animal, they would offer up a prayer to the Most High. All right. It says bison hunting was an active fundamental to the economy and society of the Plain Indians, which are Israelites. All right. When they were about to kill a buffalo, they would offer it a prayer. You know. So the massacre happened in the 1800s, man. It says the former army and the destruction of the buffalo, 1865 to 1883, MSU History Department. It says extermination of the American bison, part of its official policy. In some cases, military commanders who permitted their troops to kill buffalo did so. You know, this was really to drive out the Americans, you know, the natives. It says on March 7, 1997, and that wasn't too long ago, during a winter when 1,084 buffalo were killed. You know, so that's just going through the history But the main reason was to drive out the Native Americans, all right, to starve them. You see, that's why it says, kill every buffalo you can. Every buffalo dead is an Indian gone. All right. So where was the love there, man? Why don't you go into this stuff, man? You know? So it says some remove the landmarks, all right, and they remove the landmarks how? By putting them into reservations. Because that was their land. It says, and that's why they made that stupid ass song, from California to the eastern something, this land is my land, this land is your land. But in reality, they're saying this land is only my land, you know? It says, some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof. You see? They drive away the ass of the fatherless, they take away the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way, the poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert, go they forth to their work. Rising betimes for a prey, the wilderness yieldeth food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing. All right. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing. They that have no covering in the cold. And that's something that they did. Let's type in slaves, in cold. This is actual lyrics, but let me just put cold. No. It says living PBS, slavery and the making of America, the slave experience. All right. America was built upon slavery. And that's something that these people don't want to understand. They don't want to hear it. All right. That's another way that we can see who the Israelites are, because that's what the Israelites have always done. It says, as the weather grew cold on the plantation, slaves were often not sufficiently protected. In Frederick Douglass' account of his life as a slave. All right, so it basically talks about how slaves, even in the cold, they were barely given anything to cover themselves, man. And if they were naked, they would just leave them naked. In bondage with cold was king. The frigid terrain of slavery in Antebellum, Maryland. Abstract cold weather remains one of the least explored environmental phenomenon in the historiography of American slavery. See, it says it was a normal day for them. Had to be out there slaving, working, picking cotton. All right, so they didn't really care for the slaves during the cold, man. So Job 24:7, they caused the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. All right, and that happened during slavery, man. They are wet with the showers of the mountains and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the chafe from the hungry, which make oil with their walls, and tread their winepress, and suffer thirst. All right, basically slavery. It says, men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out, yet God layeth not folly to them. They are of those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murderer rising with the light killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. And we know the scriptures say that a thief cometh not but to kill and to destroy. All right? That I also of the adulterer, Salakia, that I also of the adulterer waiteth for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguiseth his face. All right, and that's something that they did, man. That's why the banditos, those bandits, they would cover their faces whenever they would go out, man, so nobody would recognize them. In the dark they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves. In the daytime they know not the light. And we're supposed to be children of the light. It says, for the morning is to them as a shadow of death. Why? Because they're seen. They're able to be seen. And that's why we have to walk in the light. All right. Romans 13, walk in the way of the light. Put away, deeds of the darkness and put on that armor of light. It says, if one knoweth them, or if one know them, they are in the terrors, the shadow of death. He is as swift as the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. And what is their portion? Genesis 27. The portion is the whole earth. And right now that portion belongs to Esau, Edom. It says, he beholdeth not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow waters. So doth the grave those which have sinned. Drought and heat consume the snow waters. All right. And with all this, pollution that's going on, it's melting the ice caps in Antarctica. All right. It's melting up those snow waters, man. So heat is consuming those snow waters due to the pollution brought by this man. It says, the womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered, and wickedness shall be broken as a tree. All right. And why is he going to be forgotten? Well, one, he has the blessing of him having the world, and under him we're going to be the Israelites. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 47. All right. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right. Because this place is being made naked. All right. The womb shall forget him. You see? The worm shall feed sweetly on him. Why? Because he's going to be nothing but dust. All right. The ground. It says he shall be no more remembered. All right. And that's in the book of, let me go to Obadiah. Chapter 1, let's start with verse 10. It says, verse 8, shall I not in the day, save Yahweh, this is the Most High, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? All right. And the German are the smartest Edomites. All right. And thy mighty men, O Taman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob shall shame cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now, wait a minute. Where was Esau's violence against Jacob if Esau ended up forgiving Jacob? All right. Esau got over it, and they were at peace with each other. This is talking about the descendants. All right. The descendants of Esau, Edom, had that violence that they actually showed against Jacob. All right. And shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. You see? So the Edomites are not done away with yet, man. It says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lot upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. All right. So if we're not under the captivity of Esau, Edom, then whose captivity are we under? You see, when we were living in Egypt, guess what? You had some Israelites that were probably living pretty good. It says, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he came a stranger. All right, he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Now, does that mean that all Judah is destroyed now? All the Judites are done away with? All right. It says, neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. All right. The Judites are not done away with. Edomites are not done away with. Israelites are not done away with, man. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Let's look at that word substance. All right, because that also ties into what happened to the so-called natives. Or they are natives, but the so-called Native Americans. Substance. Chayal, strength, might, efficiency, wealth, army, strength, ability, efficiency, wealth, force, army. All right. Riches down here. Riches, host. All right. Wealth, which back then, how did you show wealth? All right. By how many flocks of animals you had. All right. By the gold. All right. It says power. How do you show power? Well, how does America show power? All right. They showed power through what they can trade. All right. What they can trade with other countries. All right. We have avocado, we have tomatoes, we have just about everything, man. You know, this land, the United States, can grow just about any type of food. You know, not so much now because there hasn't been a Sabbath given to the land, you know, so it's growing weaker and weaker. But that shows riches, that shows strength, substance, power. All right. It says probably a force, whether of men, means of other resources, an army, wealth, virtue, valor, strength, able, activity, army, band of men, company, great forces, goods. All right, goods, which is talking about, you know, your food, merchandise, or possessions. All right, merchandise, host, might, power, riches, strength, strong, substance, train, valiantly, valor, virtuously, war, worthy. All right, strength, power, might, valor, oneself, strong, to display valor. All right, so it could be your riches, you know, what makes you rich, and what made the Americas rich, the soil, the ground. All right, they were able to sell tobacco because the lands are rich here. You know, you can grow tobacco. They were able to grow anything they wanted. You know, they had rivers flowing with clean water. All right, they had trees yielding plenteous of food. You know, being fruitful. You see, so you should not have entered into the gate of the people of the Most High, the Israelites. All right. It says, have laid hands, nor have laid hands in their substance in the day of their calamity. All right. And we saw that video how they laid hands in the lands of the Israelites here in the Americas, man, the so-called Native Americans. You know, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway